short weeks away, and Rumpure Sports is gearing up for the season with the best deal in DFS.
For a limited time only, we are offering new members a 15% discount for the life of their subscription, including SaberSim subs. Simply use the promo code NFL15 when subscribing to take advantage of this great deal before our prices go up.
And at RPS, we don't just give you access to one sport. When you subscribe to our premium service, we give you access to all of our content, including NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, and so much more.
And we're not going to charge extra for access to our preseason content either. Our memberships include all of our content, including the NFL preseason. The best DFS players in the industry give you access to their core plays and slate strategies for every sport and for every slate. Simplify your lineup building process by plugging in picks directly from the top players in the world. Watch our premium live streams to gain a huge edge on the competition. Our guys are live up to lock for the biggest slates, walking you through their last-minute decisions, analyzing breaking news and injury alerts for the major sports.
Again, for a limited time only, you can access our industry-leading DFS content for 15% off our already low price. SaberSim packages are included, so sign up today using the promo code NFL15 for 15% off your subscription for life and start building winning lineups today.
We're back. It's my first NFL show of 2022. I think it's the first NFL show. Spread's been doing off-season stuff. Mangone, Holden with you. We will be picking winners for you. We'll talk some DFS about 6 games. We'll talk some betting about 6 games. And here's the lineup today. The games we'll be talking about: Eagles, Lions. See if Jalen Hurts can go bananas there. Houston, Indy. A couple running backs of note in that game. Kansas City, Arizona, of course, with Kyler and Patrick Mahomes. The Chargers and the Raiders, which could be a shootout too. Minnesota, Green Bay, and then we'll run down the Thursday night football game with the Rams and the Bills. Mangone, wonderful to see you. How the hell are you? What is going on? And thank God football is back. It's been a very fast off season for me, just looking at the Avalanche and covering them. And I've had 6 weeks of downtime, but boy, it's nice. We're back in the seat, buddy.
Yeah, it's nice to be back, Holden. Just because we're back, though, doesn't mean we can't do our Top Golf date that you and I talked about. You and I were going to go do some Top Golf. So maybe we can go watch a Thursday night game at some point, or maybe a Monday night football game. But overall, pretty excited football's back, right? I mean, listen, like, this is the time of year that we all love. It's the best time of year, and I can't wait. We have big games coming up here Thursday. Everyone's excited for Bills and Rams. And then also, don't forget, like, Sunday, we get commercial-free football all day long. We get to park it on the couch, order some pizza and wings, and just kind of have a good time. So can't wait to talk about it and break it all down. What
are you on, the Rubio Dimes diet? Pizza, wings?
I am not on the Rubio Dimes diet. But Holden, you can have a cheat day. Cheat days are okay. I'm on a pretty good diet. You just saw me before. I was eating peanut butter on like bread, right? I got a nice shake here that I'm drinking in this. So I'm not on the Rubio Dimes diet. I'm not ordering Little Caesars. I don't think it's great. I don't think Burger King is a top tier fast food place. I am not on the Rubio diet.
Are you hitting the gym, Mangone?
I just got back from it. I was there for,
Me too.
I woke up at 9 our time. I got there by 9:30 and came home, made some food and done. So got a couple hours in there and ready to go for picking the winners.
Somebody dug up an old video of ours, maybe from last year or 2 years ago, and it had a fat draft cheat on it. And you could see how running 7 miles a minute has helped him. So DC's not fat anymore. You're in shape. I'm in shape. Spread Astaire. Is Spread Astaire in shape? Are you shooting the hoops, buddy? What's going on?
Yeah, I got to get ready. Last year, it snuck up on me, but I'm going to be out there this year at the March Madness. So I got to start training now because you thought Jordan was bad at age 40. I'm coming in at age 46. It's going to be hard for me.
I'm older than you
going
are?
against the young.
Oh, shit.
You are?
That's not
Man,
good.
I thought I looked good for my age. Now you're blowing me out the water. That was like the one thing I had that I looked good for my age. Unbelievable.
Spread. No one looks better than Holden for their age. I mean,
I know.
Listen, don't take that as an offense. It's like, if you're like, Mike Trout, right? And you got Shohei Ohtani next to you, like, it's okay, man. Don't worry about it. You're still Mike Trout when it comes to the look spread.
All right. Well, yeah, hopefully I can live up to that. But I can't wait. And Mangone, you know what I'm doing? Because, I'm going to eat all day too. But I'm going to stay away from that pizza. I'm going to barbecue a tenderloin and a tri-tip around 8 a.m. My neighbors are going to think I'm crazy.
All right, boys and girls that are in the chat, hit the like button if you get a shot. You know about all that spiel. We hit 10,000 subscribers. That's great. I'll be doing a baseball show with Hoop. We'll see if he's giving you guys anything. It's just wonderful to be back in the NFL streets, isn't it? You see at the top of the screen there, promo code NFL15, 15% off life of your subscription. Plus you get Saber Sim, our optimizer. Mangone, it's worth it alone for the access you get in Discord to you, Tony, that's Big T, JSU, Tambo, the rest of the big boppers there. And then we got the cores, the playbook, the cash chart. There's a lot that we're giving out. What are you most excited about with our premium content on the written side?
What am I most excited on the written side? I guess what I'm doing, Holden, I'm doing the single entry 3-max stuff, right? So there's some big prize pools when it comes to single entry and 3-max in NFL, where like in other sports, right? Like if you do the 3-max MLB slate today, it's a nice flat structure. Max you can win is $5K for the early slate, which is nice, but like there's some big boy ones, right? Ones where you get like $50,000 up top. There's some massive prize pools. Golf has those at times, but you're going to get this from NFL. I break down basically like, hey, like this is kind of the single entry strategy that I think is best for 3-max, and talk about what's the chalk and how we can make slight pivots off it. Obviously, we'll discuss some game theory, some strategy, and how to handle it for each slate. Every slate is different, and especially week 1. I mean, when you kind of get into like week 4, once you have the bye weeks, those slates are extremely different than these ones because it goes from like a 13 or 12 game slate to like a 7-game slate or an 8-game slate, where things definitely change a ton. So we'll talk about it all. We're going to break down 6 games that we think are really valuable and important to discuss, and we'll kind of bring the winners for you guys.
So the third highest total, let's get into this here. We'll talk about betting. We'll talk about DFS because
real quick, Holden, let me pimp some premium content that we got as well. So I've been working with AP and Big T. Hey, I see that. We're working with AP and Big T, and we're doing something new on the bet side this season. On the DFS side, you get a playbook when you go on there, right? So we're adding that as well. In fact, when you messaged me this morning, that's what I was working on, working out the kinks there, because right now my model is week-to-week basis, so I got to separate some numbers and everything. But we're working hard, and we're going to have an NFL playbook on the bet side as well as the DFS side. So we're real excited to roll that out this week.
All right. So what is the playbook on the bet side?
It's going to give you projected score, best bet on the total. Tyler's going to give out your best prop bets and just a couple trends that Tyler's found. That's going to be the reasoning behind either our side bets, our total bets, or our prop bets.
Cool. I love it. JJ and I will be doing a prop show every Thursday night. Mangone's hopping on this week. I'm sure you and I will be doing that too, spread. So a lot going on here at RPS. NFL 15% off the life of your subscription. So we got a healthy total here as we get into game number 1. We'll start with the bet side here. Spread 49, the total, as Jalen Hurts and the Eagles are going to face the Lions in Detroit. Eagles 4-point favorites. Juice is -110 both sides, and then -195 the money line for the Eagles, +165 for the Lions here. This, just a personal rule that I've kind of dug up over the last couple of years. I have a hard time backing favorites on the road at more than, -2.5. A lot of people though are jumping on the Lions because they were on Hard Knocks. I didn't watch much of Hard Knocks at all. I saw about 5 minutes, so I'm not biased there. Talk to me here. Eagles, Lions spread.
All right. Yeah. And this is a great game because, we talked about it right before we jumped on. This is the longest we've been without NBA, right? In like 3 years. So with doing the previews, getting ready for the NFL season, I've consumed so much NFL content, whether it be, articles, podcasts, regardless. These two teams probably have the highest expectations compared to last season, right? Of any two teams in the whole NFL. And here they are, and they're going to face each other week 1. So all the people that have been touting the Lions, I know the Lions over for their season win total has been steamed up. It's really popular. people love the Eagles. If you've been watching our previews over with Tyler and I on the Run Pure Bets channel, Tyler just thinks the schedule is just going to be so easy for him. And they completely renovated. They had a great draft. And let's be fair, right? A great draft basically means that they got a bunch of guys, at 17 that were scheduled to go at 11. It just means they did better than the mock drafts. Who knows if that's really true, right? But there's excitement for both teams. And the Lions, I don't know if this excitement is based just off Hard Knocks. I think there's some smart football reasons too. And it's because where's the game won? I know quarterbacks are great, and I know that Mangone's going to tell us about all the great skill position players. But at the end of the day, this game is still won at the line of scrimmage. And Sewell is looking 10 times better. He came off, he went from right tackle to left tackle to right tackle last year. He had missed a year from COVID, and he had played a short football season in 2020. So he was a rookie really coming into a tough situation. He's looking absolutely great in camp. That's just not Hard Knocks. That's from every report we've heard. And then they go ahead and draft Aiden Hutchinson, who's actually dominating on the other side of the ball. So you have to be so excited about this team and the line. But, it's so funny that you mentioned the total, because that's the way that I want to go. That's the way I want to go on this game. I like the under in this game. And here's my idea here. The Lions could be a tad bit overvalued here, right? There could be a little bit too much love for a team that's still quarterbacked by Jared Goff. And Sean McVay is not giving him the place in his ear. He's got a great arm, but I don't know if I necessarily trust him. So I like the under on this total. And I think what that does is it protects you from the blowout if these Lions are a little bit overhyped. I did mention 2 players, but boy, they needed a lot of players if you watch that team last year. And yes, they did fight hard, and Dan Campbell really gets these guys going. But still, I think the best way to approach this game is the under. I know the Lions got steamed down, so if you like the Lions, you way missed that number. And then you're still stuck in a conundrum, right? If you're saying, okay, well, I want to move against the steam, you still got to lay more than 3 on the road, Holden. We know how we don't like to do that. Give me that under 49.
You can't even tease this thing on the spread unless it gets to 4.5. So you don't want to sit there and just bet it up to tease it to 10. You're going through one key number. So
right.
You're right. There was a lot of money coming in the Lions. I don't know if there's too many teams that got more hype than the Eagles though, man. Well, let's go look at this from a player perspective, DFS wise. You've got Jalen Hurts. There's a lot of expectations for this guy, 6,800. Swift is 6,800. And then at wide receiver, AJ Brown, 6,400, Devontae Smith, 5,500, and Amon-Ra St. Brown at 6,100. The tight ends, of course, Hawkinson and Goddard. Love Goddard this week, 4,500 for him. Hawkinson, 4,900. Hey, you want to break this down here, man, going with Philly at Detroit, first game of the day.
Yeah, I mean, Holden, you're saying what all the people are saying, right? I love Goddard, man. Like, look at that price at tight end. Look at Jalen Hurts. And then what happens is, Holden, and this is why this game is going to have ownership. Like, let's start there. The reason why it is, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm just kind of stating a fact, is let's say you plug in, and let's just do it here on my screen, right? I'm just going to walk you through it. Let's plug in Jalen Hurts, right? We'll plug him in there, Let's plug in Dallas Goedert as well. We're going to put in a cheap defense just to get something in there. I'm going to put a $2,300 defense just because people like to punt the defensive position. You can do what you want. And then let's plug in that run back of like Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? Because I think that's a good option. We saw how great he was last year. Get him at home. This game is in a dome. The total is trending upward from 46 to 48.5. There's great reasons to like it. But when you do that, Holden, this is what you're left with. You're left with 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a flex. And you know what's great about that build? The thing that's nice about it is if you do that, you can go and say, oh man, I really want to get exposure to the Chargers-Raiders game. So you get exposure to that. Let me get exposure to the Vikings-Backers game. Let me get exposure to this, and you get exposure to every game because you don't have to full-on game stack it. Now, if you decide to play, let's say you decide to play the Vikings stack with Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen, you play Justin Jefferson, and let's say you play Dobbs for 3K, right? Or Randall Cobb, another cheap option. Well, now I don't have receivers that I'm able to plug in. So naturally, people are going to love this because week 1, they're going to feel like I can watch this Eagles game, right? I can get the early action on the Eagles, and then I get that 4 o'clock late sweat with the Chiefs game. Then I get the sweat with the Chargers game, and I got exposure to everything. And that's what I think this game alone is going to be steamed up a ton. Now, it's a big slate, a lot of ways that you can go. But with it being the 1 o'clock game, one thing that I think is super valuable is let's say you decide to fade this game completely. It's a little scary, But you know how much information I gained by fading this game? And look at all the games I can pick from in the 4 o'clock window. I can pick from Chargers, Raiders. I can pick from Packers, Vikings. Or I can go over to Chiefs and Cardinals. There are so many good games in the late spot where I'm definitely thinking of, in tournaments, trying not to really jam this game in a bunch. Now, am I just going to fade this game completely? No, but the point I'm getting at is I think this stack might get steamed up a bit and might be a little overowned. And also, it feels like a game that kind of has more of a cash game type construction with the way people will build out their teams. So if you just decided to go Mahomes, Kelsey, Juju, and then one of the Cardinals run backs at receiver, that alone is going to kind of just make you, I think, more different than people will think. Because if you play a Hurts, a Goddard, the combination of the salary adds up to $6,000. You know how many great plays you can get at running back, receiver, and flex, especially if you just punt one guy. Let's just put in a 4K receiver real quick. Let's put in Tony just real fast. And again, I know this is like kind of like a weird process that we're going through, but I just think it's really important to discuss because I think a lot of people are going to gravitate towards this kind of build. And if you put in Tony at 4-1, now I have 6,500 for 2 running backs, a receiver, and a flex. And again, we're not breaking any rules here. We're just talking about lineup construction and a little bit of process here. So don't get me wrong. I think this game is great. I think it's a good one to get exposure to, but I'm going to think about how I get exposure to it. Maybe it's just playing an AJ Brown one-off. I think AJ Brown could have a massive game. Think that he's in a really good spot, can pick on those, Lions cornerbacks a bit. I do think some of these other options like DeAndre Swift, haven't mentioned him yet, but think he's going to be a really interesting option. There's some other running backs that I prefer a bit in that range, but I think he's in play if you want to get exposure to this game through him. I think it's fine. But the thing that I'm definitely thinking through a little bit is how I'm going to play this game out. Like, I think a lot of people, they might not go Jalen Hurts, Goddard with a Swift. And the reason why they might not go Swift is because they're going to say, oh, I kind of just expect the Lions to be losing most of the game. But if they are winning the game, right, that Jalen Hurts stack might make some more sense. Like, let's say you go Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, right? And then you go with Swift and you kind of stack it up even more rather than a skinny stack. It's more of a game stack in that way. That will show you the route of, you're saying the Lions are going to be leading during the game. At 6.8K, you'll get Swift there with them having a really good game script for him. And then you have the Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, and Goddard run back when most people are just going to try and go maybe one of them as a skinny stack. So, overall, Holden, I like this game. I'm not trying to talk badly about it, but I think there's so much value in being underweight on this game, thinking about how you're going to play these players from this game and using the information later on with the 4 o'clock window to make some decisions. That's kind of my overall takeaway from this game. Cash games, yeah, there's some really great plays in here. Not telling you to fade them at all. Not saying Jalen Hurts will not be on my cash team. There's a good chance he's on there. But in tournaments, which we're trying to talk about here the most, we need to think about how we're rostering guys from this game. I think it's very important, and especially because of the information that you're going to gain and with all those games later on in the 4 o'clock window.
Quite the breakdown, man. Going, I like it. That is game number 1. We still got 5 to go. Let's hit the like button here and do it. Listen, most of you are going to be watching this on delayed anyways. You'll be watching this later in the week, but give it to us. That would be nice. And again, NFL promo code NFL 15% off the life of your DFS subscription. And then if you are a subscriber, you can get bets. Make sure you hit us up. Type in the code get bets and you get bets for free. So looking forward to that. We'll give you some more of our selling points a little bit later on, but I do want to get to our second game now. And that's going to be Houston and Indianapolis. And Dameon Pierce has officially been named the starter. I expect Dameon Pierce to have a massive workload. Now, the Colts smashed the Texans a couple of times last year. I'm not so sure it works out that way this year, but let's get into this from a betting side first. And spread, see, to me, this is one of those teasable games. It was 8, and now it's 7. So this line just dropped. Colts -7 on the road, 45.5 the total. Texans 265 on the money line, -320 for the Colts. But you tease this thing up to 13. I'm probably a little too bullish on Stingley Jr., Mills, Pierce, and the rest of the lot, but I do like this team, man. I think they're going over their win total of 4.5. But what's your take here on the Colts and the Texans spread?
This is a tough game. This is one of those games where I don't think you can just use the model blindly, because it's going to tell you to take the Colts. It's going to tell you to take the Colts the way they finished last year. And in fact, they had a really nice point differential for their record, so this team, when they won, they did blow people out. That's what a high point differential on an average record tells me. This Houston team, it's going to be really tough to gauge how much they've improved. These are rookies, and I think we can have high expectations for them season long. Week one, maybe a little different. Now, to be fair, I think, rookie running back, I think running back is the same no matter what level you're at. You hit the hole, you hit guys, you break tackles, let's go, right? There's not that much adjustments. For a cornerback like Stingley, he might end up being a great player and one of the best picks in the draft. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be out there in week one. And the other concern I have for this game is how much does Matt Ryan have left? Because to be fair, he didn't have much of a line last year. He's not a mobile guy. So that was a recipe for disaster for Matt Ryan. Now he goes to one of the best offensive lines in the league. So it's going to show you, was it the line that was the issue, or was it him? And Tyler and I have been opposite on this. Tyler, and most of the chat from the show yesterday, thinks that he's going to be pretty good once he gets the protection. I'm still a little worried, because I felt that the lack of athleticism he showed last year was really a sign of aging. And I think that Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady have people messed up and thinking that this is ordinary. This is not ordinary. Nowhere in my whole life has quarterbacks over 35 been doing that well. And I know that we understand the rules are different. They don't get beat up like they used to. It's more about reading the defense than being a pure athlete than, say, in the 80s and the 90s when I was growing up, right? But it still remains that lack of athleticism really worries me. So Holden, I'm going to do another cop out. I'm not going to take the side again. I'm going with the under again.
Let me just throw you this real quick. And this was from an offseason article on PFF. The second most accurate deep ball passer last year was Matt Ryan. I couldn't believe it when I read it, man. I could not believe it, but the dude was accurate down the field. So
I understand your point, and that says to me, right, when he gets time, that he's able to deliver, and maybe he'll get more time this season. But when we cherry pick those stats, I think it just really shows, well, how many plays, did he not get the ball off because he's not mobile enough to even avoid the most basic pass rush?
All right.
How many times like that? But anyways, my point is, I'm not sure where I want to go on the side. If I were to tease, I would go the other way, and I bring the Colts down just to win straight up. But I do like the under here again. And the idea is, look, we got two teams that are probably going to want to run the ball. If I have Matt Ryan and I'm worried about those things, right, I want to get a lead and let Jonathan Taylor run the show. And I can't wait to hear what Travis thinks about both these running backs. But I think the Texans are going to use a run heavy defense as well. Davis Mills had a great season last year, but let's be honest, if he was a first round quarterback or he had high expectations, we deal with it a little different. It's because he was a third round pick. We didn't expect anything from him, and he exceeded expectations. So we're like, oh, okay, he's pretty cool. But it's not necessary to say that he's, even in the top 15 of quarterbacks. Can he get there? Possibly. I personally haven't seen it, but we'll see if he gets there. Anyways, I think this is going to be a lot of running. I think the clock's going to be running a lot. And there is, once again, blowout potential. If the Colts were to cover the spread like my model says it's going to, means the Texans haven't put up that many points. Colts have an excellent defense. We could see that company. So once again, I'm not going to take a side. I'm going with the under.
All right. Very good. You got the under there. Mango and I were talking about a bet that I already placed, Dameon Pierce over 45.5 yards. Now, he's not getting there if this is a blowout, especially early. Again, I just don't see this team get blown out early. I think that the volume, he's going to get Joe Mixon like volume, my estimation, Mangone. I know you were a little bit hesitant just because of him being a rookie. So I understand that 100% as well. But let's dig into this from DFS. So this is a player prop bet, but let's go to the quarterbacks here. Ryan's 5,500, Mills is 5,300, Taylor's 9,100. So let's start with Jonathan Taylor. You're looking at the top shelf guys. You're looking at Henry. You're looking at CMC. Where does Taylor fall this week on ownership and on your list of the top shelf running backs?
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, he's definitely in play this week. He's a good option. You obviously have to like him. the question is it him or CMC, right? Like that's a really good conversation this week. I think a lot of people are going to go back and forth on that. I think if I had to make a guess, CMC is going to be higher owned than Taylor. Taylor then comes in number 2, and then Derrick Henry just gets lost in the shuffle. That's kind of my overall takeaway of like the top end running backs and how the ownership shakes out. Overall, though, like Jonathan Taylor, think he's a good play. I do wonder if the Nyheim Hines thing is going to be real this year. Like they are talking him up a little bit. Yes, I understand that things are being talked up. I'm not saying that because they're being talked up, we know what's going to happen, right? Like we don't know. Obviously, it could just be the Jonathan Taylor show. Also, let's say Davis Mills takes that second-year leap out of nowhere and they're putting pressure on him. You're going to see Jonathan Taylor eat. I mean, he's going to absolutely crush. So I do think Jonathan Taylor's ceiling gets captured by playing Brandon Cooks, by playing some of these other Texans receivers, because I think that'll be the route where he really absolutely dominates. Now, could the final score be 31-3 and Jonathan Taylor has 3 touchdowns? Sure. But if we're just playing through if-then scenarios, if it is 31-3, there are routes where Nyheim Hines comes in. Maybe there's some passing touchdowns. Also, I think if the game is tight and close, though, with the Texans putting that pressure on and touchdowns are scored on the Texans side, it's because Jonathan Taylor also then gets there and has a massive, massive day. Also, that could not be the case too. We know how DFS can work, but we're just thinking probabilities, right? And like if something happens, then there's a higher probability of another thing happening. So that's kind of the route that I'm thinking through with Jonathan Taylor. If I play Jonathan Taylor, it might be with more Texans, like right with like a Texans run back. I think that kind of makes the most sense. Not really with like Davis Mills, I don't think, because I just worry about quarterbacks and their actual ceilings, and I worry about Davis Mills' ceilings compared to all these other options. It's kind of like a pitching slate if you play an MLB. I got all these stud quarterbacks to pick from. One of them's going to find a way there. Should I really punt that much at quarterback? That's one thing I'm definitely slightly concerned about, and why I don't think you go a Davis Mills route. Also, not looking to really go Matt Ryan that much. I think Pittman's a really good play that you can get exposure to. Sounds like he's going to take a nice leap this year. Doesn't have to deal with Carson Wentz as his quarterback anymore. Doesn't have to deal with Jacoby Brissett, who loves to throw to his tight ends. And on top of that, like Matt Ryan, I'm not trying to say that I'm a big believer in him, but it is week 1, right? This is the time where, I guess investing in Matt Ryan through Pittman is probably a better idea. He's not as banged up. When you play some of these older guys or invest in them through their quarter, like the receiver through the quarterback, this is the better time to do it. So I think overall it's a good spot for a bunch of these guys. I like the Texans passing game more than I like Pierce. The one thing to mention about Pierce is FanDuel, his price is like 5,400, which is just dirt cheap, right? And that can allow you to do a ton for your lineup. So I like Pierce way more over there. I think that's where he's more in play, but I'm just not as high on Pierce to start the week 1 off, because let's just rewind to last year as like one example. And again, I know I'm cherry picking one example, but let's think back to week 1 last season. Kyle Pitts. There's no chance this guy busts. He's the best play. Oh, he's going to be generational tight end. And we're not saying this about Pierce. So but we said this guy, Kyle Pitts, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And now I'm pulling up the game log. I'm stalling a bit to say what
he's a rookie tight end. Rookie tight ends don't produce.
Correct. But what about rookie running backs? Sometimes they miss one pass protection, Holden, and he's not in there anymore.
Yeah. The problem is there's literally, Marlon Mack at this point, who's broken down. So I get your argument on this. And personally, I don't love
he's a rookie. That's all I'm saying.
I don't love Pierce for DFS. I love him more on a player prop. I think he can get to 50 yards rushing. That's my whole thing. The question is, they use him out of the backfield and passing game, and who's getting the goal line carries. You think he would. We're going to learn a lot about that, but I'm looking at 16, 17 carries for this guy. And that's a lot, but I think they're going to be forced to do that if they keep this game close. And the other guy I want to bring up is, and I'm going to have to do a lot more work on this before Sunday, but Brevin Jordan, the tight end who's basically free.
Yeah.
If you have any piece of this game, this dude played 81% of the snaps in that last preseason game that they played all their starters. They signed OJ Howard, who couldn't beat out some scrubs this offseason. Brevin Jordan's another guy. I don't want to put too much stock in the Texans offense, but Brevin Jordan's a guy with some salary relief if you're playing this game as a game stack.
No, it's a good point, Holden. And going back to Pierce, just real quick, one note I want to make. One of your outs that I like that you have going for you is he's a rookie. And if it's the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left and they're losing, you might just find a way to get the over there because they're still going to play him and give him work. So that's like one really nice out with your example. But let's go back to Jordan because Jordan's 3K.
Let me talk about Pierce real quick. The other thing going for him is he's got an old coach. He doesn't have a new guy that's going to immediately switch to passing every down if they get down by 10 points or more. Lovie Smith is still going to be trying to establish a culture and winning and playing the way that they want to play because that's how he grew up learning to coach. So I think the coach gives you an edge here with Dameon Pierce because I think that in most cases you get down by 10, 14, they're going to abandon the running back. I don't know if Lovie Smith will do that.
Yeah, listen, coaching is huge when it comes to this stuff. So like sometimes we say like, oh yeah, like remember Amari Cooper? I always like using this example. Amari Cooper, this guy's just why is he not getting all the work? It's like John Gruden does what he wants to do, right? He's the coach. Sometimes you just have to do what the coach, they're going to do, even though you don't think it's the smartest decision. So I think that's a good point that you brought up there, Spread. I do want to talk about Brevin Jordan though, because I thought great points were brought up by Holden on that. 3K tight ends they're like very valuable because they just allow you to get a lot more for your lineup and capture higher ceiling players. They can also give you different construction. Also on loose salary weeks, I think a lot of people just say, oh, give me like Travis Kelce, give me Dallas Goedert and all these other guys, when that might just give you a different construction in the field. And I also don't mind these tight ends when I think it's spots where like a guy like Davis Mills, if they are trailing by 14 late in the game, well, what are the Colts going to do? We're up 14. We don't care about 8.5 spread. We're not plus 8.5 guys. We just want to win the game. So we want to kill the clock. So we're just going to step back, let the clock eat up while you dump it off to Brevin Jordan. He catches maybe like 3 passes for like 40 yards. And like maybe he sneaks in for that touchdown late and just like jumps up for 10 DK points out of nowhere. It definitely could happen. It's in the realm of possibilities for that to be part of the script. So overall, Brevin Jordan, the thing I like is what he can do for your full lineup. And if you want to go with Jonathan Taylor with a Brevin Jordan, I don't hate that. It doesn't seem like a bad route to go because if they are, giving those dump offs to a Brevin Jordan like that, Jonathan Taylor probably is a good game. And if Brevin Jordan happens to pop off in a scenario where the game is tight too, like Jonathan Taylor then has a big game. So I think there's a lot of correlation and more correlation in the Brevin Jordan, Jonathan Taylor skinny stack rather than adding Davis Mills in there, just because I worry about Davis Mills type of ceiling. If you did want to go Cooks, Mills, and Jordan with Jonathan Taylor, let me tell you, that'd be very different. Not something I'd be dying to do, but hey, we've seen crazier, right? I mean, so I don't think it's the craziest thing you could do on the slate, but I definitely like the skinny stack way more of Taylor. And
Yeah. I will have, if I make 5 lineups this week, one of them is going to be Davis Mills, Brandon Cooks, Brevin Jordan, Paris Campbell, Jonathan Taylor, just a full game stack, which I'll end up with 83 points, but boy, it sure is cunning.
But by the way, here's a comment in the chat, Holden. Like, just goes back to my point. No way I'm fading Kelce without Tyreek. Now, listen, I'm perfectly fine with you saying that, but like sometimes you have to understand, like, we do not know what is going to happen. Now, instead of saying no way I'm fading, where it's 100% chance, why don't we think through the scenarios of what is the percentage chance that Travis Kelce does fail? Where are the routes where he does fail in this spot? There's certainly more there than I think people think, but we'll obviously get to it and talk about it.
Well, I'll just say this before we get to that. Patrick Mahomes, I was watching this morning, he goes, I'm sorry, fantasy football players, but it's just going to be a different wide receiver every week. So maybe he's on to something for Kelce, but just to make a declaration right now, I'm playing Kelce. How do you not play Kelce? Well, spending money at that position is going to cost you somewhere else. So we'll figure it out. We're going to get to that game, aren't we, Mangone?
Yep. We'll definitely get to it.
All right. NFL 15% off the lifetime. Your subscription. Get in right now before the NFL starts. You'll still get Major League Baseball rest of the regular season. You will get our cores, our playbook, everything for baseball. The NBA is starting up very soon. So you will get the 15% off right through that too, till either we go away or you die. So sorry to get a little morose there, but I just had to. Anyways, we've got that. You get access to everybody on the DFS side. Get Bets is the code to get the Bet side for free, but you can talk with Mangone, you can talk with Spread, Big T. All these guys are in there. Hoop, JSU, AP, answering your questions. Tambo, they're all in there helping you out. So you get your cores. And the other cool thing is we got multiple coordinators giving you their whole player pool. Who else? Who does that? You get the cores where they're going to leave a couple of spots open and the whole player pool. You got to be an idiot not to know who Big T is playing at that point. So a lot of good stuff going on here at Run Pure Sports. And again, spread on the bet side, what are they getting?
On the bet side, yeah. First of all, we've been absolutely crushing this year. D's been doing great. Joey Work crushing baseball as always. JJ doing the tennis with me. I'm up over 20 units myself. Using that tennis to really, boost it up after a great NBA season. But you're not just getting the picks. We're in the Discord. We're talking about them. JJ gives full reasoning for every single tennis pick he gives out. And then we've just added the NFL playbook. So just like on the DFS side, you'll get a playbook. We're going to give you a playbook as well. That's going to give you our projections, our favorite player props, and a grade for each pick that we give out.
Okay. I love it. Let's get to our third game spread. I'm coming right back to here with Kansas City and Arizona. This will be one of the more popular games that will be bet. This will be one of the more popular games on the DFS side as well. Chiefs have become a public team here, spread. Everybody loving Mahomes and the boys, and you got Kyler on the other side. I mean, this is a big line, -6 on the road for the Chiefs at Arizona and a healthy Kyler Murray. And I think that means a lot. I see this guy in the injury report. I don't play him. And when he's off the injury report, he likes to run. 54 is the total. That's as high as you're going to get on this DFS slate as far as that goes. And then you want to back the Cardinals plus 200. I guess that number, you might just be betting the number, not the game. -240 for the Chiefs. Do you have a play in this one, spread?
Yeah, I get to go to a side here, Holden. And, it's either Hemingway or Mark Twain. One of those great writers says you have to know the rules of grammar to know when you break them. And I'm going back to your rule earlier on the road favorites. And I'm going to go ahead and break that rule. A lot of people are going to be talking about, I'm going to take the Chiefs. A lot of people are going to be talking about the fact that Kansas City loses Tyreek Hill. I believe that Patrick Mahomes can overcome the loss of Tyreek Hill a lot more than Kyler Murray can overcome the loss of DeAndre Hopkins. Go look at those games when DeAndre Hopkins was out last year. He only had one good game without Hopkins out of the lineup. And a lot of people want to talk about Call of Duty, not studying, getting beat up. I think the loss of DeAndre Hopkins towards the end of last season really was the downfall for this Arizona Cardinals team. And I think that he means so much. And I think that Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to absorb it even more. And you even talked about the quote. Everything that we're reading about this guy's dialed in. He's motivated. And he's going to prove it. And we've seen this happen before. We go back to when Brett Favre lost Sterling Sharp. He wins the MVP the year after that, right? Tom Brady wins an MVP the year after he loses Randy Moss. So a great quarterback isn't reliant on a wide receiver. And if we're going to talk about the Titans, yeah, losing A.J. Brown's a big deal when you're Ryan Tannehill. When you're Patrick Mahomes, when you're these guys, you can go ahead and absorb that. I am not high on the Arizona Cardinals at all. I'm not high on their coach. And I got one guy who's just walking around ready to prove everything to the world. And I got another guy, and I know this has been overblown and it's baked into the line and everything, but still an unprecedented clause that you have to work, right? The rest of these guys can't even get out of the film room, right? They're like Tom Brady's about to have a divorce because, he keeps watching film instead of watching his wife in lingerie. Then you got this other guy, and he'd rather play Call of Duty with Mangone.
Spread for all. I mean, he's been tapping that for how long, and they have so many kids. You show me a man that doesn't get tired of it. You're not showing me a man. Okay, that's all I'll say. I'm not saying it doesn't work that way for women, but Tom's hit that enough to where football is still more important.
Yeah, okay. My point stands. Kyler Murray, you can't even get him into the film room, right? They have to put a clause in the contract. I love the Kansas City Chiefs here. I'm so high on them this year. I think that people have made too much about the loss of Tyreek Hill, and I think all it's going to do is make Patrick Mahomes a better quarterback. And if he didn't have the support system in place to help him with this transition, why did I bring up Brett Favre? Because Andy Reid was on the Packers staff when that transition happened, right? This is a great opportunity for a great coach to make his quarterback more well-rounded. You still have Kelsey, and we've seen great quarterbacks make average receivers better than they look. Tom Brady's been doing it for years. Aaron Rodgers has done it when he didn't have Devontae Adams. So this is going to happen. I like the Kansas City Chiefs here. I'm laying the points.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. All right, Mangone. Again, I think the most telling quote that I got today is on this game. And that's Mahomes saying it's going to be a different wide receiver every week. So that pushes you immediately to a Mahomes Kelsey stack. If that's the way you're going at it, how do you handle this as far as the Chiefs wide receivers? Because this is going to be a very popular game, right? And you got Hollywood Brown on one side with the Cardinals, but then Juju, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Sky Moore. There's a lot of options there in the passing game for Kansas City. So why don't you start on that side, man, going to DFS?
Yeah, let's definitely start there. I want to address a couple chat comments. So one, the Juju is cheeks. I don't know if he's cheeks. Let's start with that. He's 5,200. Pretty good price tag. You can play Kadarius Toney at 4,100, or like this like really known route of like a Juju Smith-Schuster, who now isn't playing with Ben Roethlisberger, who's an absolute corpse out there, with a coach that used to always want to establish the run. Like this is definitely a spot where I think Juju, who was in a crowded spot, now going to be the main guy. 5,200 is a really good price tag. Like him in tournaments as leverage off of Kelsey. I don't think it's bad. Another thing to note, because we got all the people in chat saying, oh, Kelsey, he can't bust, right? This is the can't bust spot. That's fine. You tell me it's the can't bust spot. But I'm going to tell you, well, let's look at Travis Kelsey's games, right? Let's see last year. Just simple. Travis Kelsey played at the Bengals, right? Perfect game late in the year when the Bengals were a good team. And the Bengals won 34-31. Remember that was such a great shootout game? How did Travis Kelsey do in that game? That should have been a can't miss spot for old Travis Kelsey. 1 touchdown for 5 receptions and 25 yards. And then you're going to counter with, that's because Tyreek Hill had a big game and now he's not there. 6 receptions for 40 yards. We do not know exactly what is going to happen. We are obviously trying to predict things. If Travis Kelsey, though, is the chalkiest tight end, it's very interesting to fade that and take a chance on someone else like Mark Andrews or build a different construction with some $3,000 tight ends. And the reason why is when you can only play one tight end on a slate. Yes, you can play one in the flex spot. But the point that I'm getting at here by just mentioning the tight end position at running back, at wide receiver, if I miss at one spot, I can gain in another area. Let's say I have a miss at a running back. Well, I can gain by getting a 40-point game from like Christian McCaffrey, and I can kind of get back there. At tight end, when you miss on tight end, you can't gain back there. Let's say Travis Kelsey does bust. You're going to bury every single Travis Kelsey lineup. It's going to be hard for them to get back. So let's go to one more game too, spread. Chiefs against the Bills. Can't miss spot, right? That's the shootout of all shootouts. You have to play Travis Kelsey in that spot. Dude had a touchdown and 57 yards and 6 catches. That's not can't miss. I mean, that's fine. 17, that is projection. It's not an amazing spot. And Tyreek Hill was there. If you're going to be the guy that says, oh, well, Tyreek Hill was so good. Well, Kelsey did that and Tyreek Hill was there. So the point I'm getting at is we do not know exactly what is going to happen. I do want to know what Travis Kelsey's ownership is. If a lot of people are going to be on him, I don't know. I might look for another route to go. I do think he's good chalk. I don't think he's a bad play, but you need to think about how you're rostering, because if you play Travis Kelsey and then you play Mahomes, well, you're running out of salary to roster your players. Like you're going to have a lot of cheaper players and going to have to take some shots on some things that might be a little iffy. So think about that when you're at least doing your roster construction. I think that's very important. Also, another thing to think about too is, I don't know, which Cardinals receiver do you guys have confidence in? Like, let me just shift this question over to both of you. If you had to figure out who the run back was going to be on the Cardinals at receiver in a game stack, who is it? Because not only do I have to get right,
Ertz.
Which one?
Ertz.
You think it's Ertz? So you're going to do double tight end, basically.
You're not. I mean, that's my. It's funny that you say that too, because I don't even know how much I'm going to have in this game, Mangone, and it's a tough one to fade, ain't it? Should be a shootout, but
53.5.
To me, there's a lot of darts here, Mangone. Like if you're playing this game, you're going to need 150 to get it anywhere right with all the options.
No, for sure. And Jay says, look at the price tag on Kelsey. I get it, 6.6, but everyone is saying this. Like Kelsey could come in at 20 to 25% owned, and of course, the stats I gave you aren't good for that tag either. So it's just worth mentioning. And I am spread. What is your answer on the receiver for
Rondale Moore?
Okay, so this is my exact point. This is so perfect. Holden says Ertz, spread says Moore, and then the chat says Hollywood Brown, right? And
I'm not playing Hollywood. I have Hollywood PTSD. He's dropped so many passes.
So the thing that's nice is if you do decide to roster a Cardinals run back, it's going to be with the Chiefs stack. There's a lot of ways to make it different. So that's a plus, but you also have to hit on it, right? And when you roll that roulette wheel, it's a little concerning. You know what's nice about the Vikings that I always liked? if the Vikings put up 28 to like 35, then where's the production to? It was normally pretty easy. It was like Jefferson, Thielen, especially if they're trailing, and if they're leading, it's Dalvin Cook. Sometimes I just like scenarios where I know, like, if this happens, then there's the most likely chance that this happens. Now, if the Cardinals are trailing, which receiver is going to be? It definitely is more of a roulette wheel. So it's just something I would be like, if I am playing these Cardinals receivers, I don't think you want like 25% Hollywood Brown or Rondell Moore. Like, I just think it's one of those things where you can get really, really buried by being overweight too much on some of these Cardinals receivers. So think about that. Like, let's say Rondell Moore comes in at 4%. Do you need to have 25%? Maybe it's okay to have 10 there where it doesn't just bury all of your lineups completely and destroy your portfolio. So something to think about when you kind of roster this game. I'm also with spread. I'm not as high on Kyler Murray, but the time to be high on Kyler Murray spread is right now. If you are going
healthy.
No, it's not that he's healthy, Holden. It's that he's not playing Call of Duty with the boys. You know what I
Dude,
mean?
yeah, that's some shtick, but I'm telling you right now, go look at the times he's on the injury report. He doesn't fucking run. Sorry about, I was supposed to keep it clean today. I'm sorry. It just frustrates me to no end that a guy that talented just can't play at 80% in the NFL. Also, one of our guys in chat said,
I mean, to be fair, he's 80% with just his height and weight.
All right,
So now he's
he
down to
is, man. That
60%.
dude, he had that
should've-
afro. It was this big, and he still looked shorter than JSU. It was amazing.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Oh, not a good scene. And then we had a comment in the chat here. Connor could go for like 6 to 8 receptions from Isaac Durker. I think if you want to go Chiefs and take a guess, if you wanted to go Mahomes and Kelsey, why not run it back with a James Conner here? Especially given what we saw out of the Chiefs defense last year. I don't think it's much upgraded, Mangone.
I love the rookie. I love the rookie pass rusher they got, and I'm not going to butcher his name, but I think he's going to look really good next to Chris Jones. I like what they did there.
Can we go back to Kyler real quick? Because this is going to be spread. This is what the people really want. This is what you're excited
Of course,
about.
Kyler slander.
No, yeah,
It's the hottest thing in podcasting all summer. Tell me you don't follow an NFL podcast feed that didn't have a Kyler slander episode. I mean, it was like it had to be in your podcast feed. You couldn't be a podcaster without slandering Kyler.
So the Call of Duty beta comes out on September 16th, early access. Kyler will find a way to have it, right? I don't know what system he plays on, but he'll find a way.
Have you played against him before, Travis?
What?
Have you played against him? I know you're big on there.
Who knows? Maybe I have. I don't know for sure. But week 2 and week 3, right? Against at Las Vegas. And let me tell you, this dude's going to be in Vegas. And I mean, if we see this dude on Twitch streams in Vegas playing Call of Duty, like, we know this dude is all about this more than anything, because Vegas is a fun time to be at. So at Vegas and then Los Angeles against the Rams, if he struggles against both those teams, which they're good teams, but it's really apparent, and then it pops back up spread because the beta disappears, I think we have a little bit of information on how much Call of Duty Kyler Murray's playing. I'm
taking a stand here, guys. James Conner's the best play from this game. I they put it in the chat. I liked him, but I don't give a damn who the Chiefs have up there. It's not going to save how awful, god awful their defense is up and down. And I think James Conner, again, before he gets hurt this year, go roll his ass out there. But he's probably going to be too popular, right? He's going to be popular from this game. So
one thing I want to say about the Chiefs defense is their numbers got completely skewed with probably one of the dumbest ideas in NFL history, and that was to play Chris Jones at defensive end. So the first 6 weeks, they had one of the worst defenses of all time, and they had their all-pro or Pro Bowl nose tackle playing D end. And he's a great soldier, and he did it. But the second they moved back, they went to being that average defense that they had that won them the Super Bowl. So
and then the last month they got torched again.
Yeah, and that's
I think this is a nice spot to attack them. All right, we got a couple more games to get to. The Chargers and the Raiders. Then we'll get to Minnesota, Green Bay. Simon tells me that we are going to be doing our Thursday night showdown show today. So we'll give you a full day to marinate on that. So coming up right after this show, Showdown Print Factory. And I'm seeing Tony J. Wow, what a crew. The Tone Dog, JSU, and Tambo all stepping up today, doing a show right after us. So stick around for that. And in all honesty, Big T's the best showdown player in the world. So we're going to be emphasizing a lot of showdown this year. If you want to make some money, this is a pretty nice angle to do so. Like button would be nice. Let's get into our next game spread. And these 4:00 games are just going to be extremely popular on the DFS side. We've got a team in the Chargers. I don't know if anybody's got more steam behind them right now. People picking them to win the Super Bowl left and right. 3 and a hook. They're favored at home at -15, -105 for the Raiders on the road, 52.5 total. And then the Chargers -180, Raiders +155. Without just breaking the game down spread, you give me that hook at 3 and a hook. I can't back the Chargers. I don't like the Raiders. I know there are some sharp people that are taking the Raiders here, divisional dog on the road, hitting at about 60-something%, but I'm not doing it. What do you got in this game?
Yeah, and my buddy Will Capper, and he came on with the bet shows when we're doing the preview for the AFC West, and he made a cognizant point here that I love, and I think it's going to make your handicapping so simple for this division. He said you should take over 3.5 in every single one of these division games because this is the most stacked division in football. If this division was a woman, she'd be wearing double Ds. I mean, just stacked. And the fact that we're going to be able to get points, you say on the road, let's see how that crowd looks, Holden. Let's see how that crowd looks. It's going to be 75 to 80% Raiders fans. The Raiders own Los Angeles. In fact, the Raiders' last Super Bowl was won in Los Angeles. And as much as I wish they could have brought one to Oakland, the Oakland, that was Madden in the 70s. Their most recent Super Bowl was in Los Angeles. This town loves the Raiders, whether they're in Las Vegas. These guys are loyal fans. They're going to have home field advantage, even though they're in Los Angeles. It's not that much of a travel schedule. And here's the one thing that I love, and it's going to show you how this Chargers team is going to show you how important coaching is in the NFL. Because I would argue that, like, roster-wise, they might have the best roster in football, and it really depends on if Herbert continues to improve. Everybody assumes that Herbert's going to continue to improve. They also assume that his junior year at Oregon, when he was slated to be the #1 pick. And then he ended up going 6. Why? Because he didn't live up to expectations his senior year. So everyone wants to crown Herbert, right? And I've seen things that put him above Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes in their ratings. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. Now, if he proves it, I'll be wrong and I'll eat my words. And I think there's a great chance that he'll prove it. But just this assumption that he's going to continue to get better and be the best quarterback in the league and be better than Josh Allen, and be better than Patrick Mahomes, I don't know if I buy that yet. The other thing is, look who's coming into the Raiders. And I know he's a first-time coach with this team, the Raiders, but I still like Josh McDaniel as a coach better than Brandon Staley. And I understand what Brandon Staley's trying to do. And he's looking at the numbers, and he's saying your expected yards per play are higher on a pass than a run. So we're going to let our opposing teams run against us. But for a team like Josh McDaniels that come from the Patriots, and I know Brady put up those great numbers all those years, but they always controlled the line of scrimmage. They always ran the ball. McDaniels is going to want to do that again here. I love the way that this Raiders team matches up with the Chargers. And, you throw that home field advantage out the window here. Give me the points in this game, Holden.
All right, Mangone. Let's go here. Justin Herbert, going to be popular. So many guys will be popular from this game. Herbert, maybe Carr, Eckler, who's one of those high-priced running backs that while everybody gravitates to Taylor and CMC this week, maybe they overlook him. Devontae Adams in his debut. Keenan Allen's always a safe play. Joshua Palmer, my breakout this year. Renfro. I'm just looking up and down here. Holy shamoly, there's some plays.
You didn't even mention my guy Waller.
And even my boy Gerald Everett, the other tight end, who everybody remembers that one game where he dropped 2 touchdowns with Russell Wilson last year. Well, I like this guy in the red zone. Mangone, what are we doing here? DFS.
Yeah, definitely a good game to target, one to get exposure to for sure. One guy that absolutely just sick pivot that could really pop off is Austin Eckler, right? 8.2K. It feels pricey, but yeah, that's why he's not going to have ownership. And we could easily see him have a massive game. Easily see him be the highest scoring running back on the slate. Spread, I know you're more betting than DFS, but if you said that Austin Eckler was the highest scoring fantasy player of the week, would that surprise you at all, Spread?
No, I was going to throw that in there. I think Eckler's poised for a big game because I think that will be one of the weaknesses of this defense. Now, of course, it's a new defensive coordinator, and I'm really excited about him. Because I didn't think that the Giants had above average talent last year, and I thought he did a great job with them. So I can't wait to see all the players seem excited about the schemes. But regardless, just looking at this personnel, they've always had problems. The linebacking core has been weak for as long as I can remember. Go back to Greg Beaker or Romanowski for the last time they had a good linebacker. And that was when they had to stop the run, not cover people. So I think they're really going to struggle with tight ends and running backs all year. I think Eckler's a great play.
Yep. And hey, that's a great segue to what I want to talk about next, spread. Let's just mess around with like the cheap tight end builds, right? I talked about, Brevin Jordan a little bit earlier because of Holden. What about Gerald Everett? Haven't we seen Justin Herbert just absolutely dominate when he throws the tight ends? Haven't we seen many weeks where we're going, man, why is Keenan Allen burying me? Why is he doing so bad? Like, what's going on there? Why is he not getting more targets? You see them drive, he gets like maybe a nice 30-yard catch, and you're like, where's his red zone target? No, it goes to a tight end because Justin Herbert throws the tight ends a lot. Why not Gerald Everett? Why couldn't he be a top 10 tight end in the league this year? Why couldn't he outscore Travis Kelce, chat? I mean, it could happen. It's not the craziest thing we've ever seen. Yeah, Holden, you're shaking your head. What odds can I get on that? What odds
this? You know what he is? He's a great FanDuel play, Everett is. Give him a freaking touchdown, man. Like 3 catches, 21 yards, and a touchdown at no price.
No, hold on. What odds are you giving me? What can I get Gerald Everett at plus money against Travis Kelce? What would you offer me?
I'll give you 2-1.
No, I want better than that. You got your dead.
Oh, don't shop at my book then. Go ask spread if you got a better
your book sucks.
You.
This is what you do. You do what everyone does.
I would line it at 3-1, Mangone.
Thank you, spread.
There you go. You shopped around.
But
correlate
that to the price difference.
Spread, this is what everyone does, right? They say, oh, no, Travis Kelce's way better. He's the best. And then what they do is you're like, okay, you do the big T. I'll snap call you. And then what do? 2-1. Like, I mean, like, what are we doing?
That means 2 out of 3 games, Kelce would go and beat him.
That's okay. Big T, if you're in the chat, please support me. I know this was the classic Big T I just pulled. It's okay. You're supposed to give me better odds than that, Holden, but it's fine.
I'm not. You're not getting it in my book.
Yeah, I've been in your shoes having a stingy book, but it's okay. No worries. We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting, but I like him a lot. I think he's in play. I like your Palmer call. I know I made fun of Keenan Allen a little bit there, but of course I like Keenan Allen in this spot. There's a lot of different spend up receivers that you can go to. I think he's definitely one that's in play. I am a little more nervous about the Vegas side, and part of it is it's just like there's a lot going on there. Adams, Renfro, Waller, there's like a lot of cooks in the kitchen there where I have some concern. I like Hunter Renfro if I have to pick one because his 5.8K price tag is really appealing. Also, he's in the slot, kind of like a known guy. Obviously Carr and Adams, they played at college together, but things change over time. There could be some things that, there could be some errors that are made early on where I just like going to more known, situations. And Hunter Renfro at 5'8" is a really cheap price tag for the ceiling that he can offer you, especially if they double Devontae and just cover that more over the top. And let's say the game is close and the Chargers are leading and the Chargers defense is kind of playing a little more prevent-ish, or even if it's like a blowout, they're up like 10-14 in the fourth. Who's going to get those like small A-dot stuff and just kind of chunk their way down the field? It's going to be Hunter Renfro. So I think overall his 5.8K price tag is my favorite play on the Raiders side if I had to pick.
All right. That's a nice breakdown of that game. We got 2 more games to go. We'll have Aaron Rodgers against the Vikings, and then we'll do a little Thursday night football. Just to remind everybody, NFL 15, 15% off the lifetime of your subscription. When you sign up at Run Pure Sports, you'll get core plays, the best in the business. They give out their cores, their best lineup. You got to leave a couple spots open, but then you can go to the player pools. Big T gives you every single one of his players. Hoop, Mangone giving you cash players, the big edge in the cash chart. Just up and down, tremendous talent that we have here. JSU, myself and JJ from the bet side taking you up to lock on our premium show. Nobody better up to lock giving advice than JSU, building his lineups, letting you know what's going on. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll talk some betting with JJ. And then I'm debuting a new show tomorrow night. It'll be 7:00 Eastern. Me and Dunkel and Mangone's going to join us as our first guest. We're going to do a player prop show to get you ready for that one. Let's move on to the Packers and the Vikings here. This game's in Minnesota. Here's a big injury, though. Alan Lazard was stepped on, questionable coming into this game. Packers 1.5 point favorites on the road here. 47 the total. Packers minus 120, even money on the money line for the Vikings spread. Whew, big changes for the Packers here. I think Devontae Adams meant more to Aaron Rodgers than Tyreek Hill did to Patrick Mahomes, for the sole fact that Rodgers just doesn't trust anybody. And he finally trusted Devontae Adams. It took him a year or two to do that. Now you're working with lesser wide receivers. Maybe Romeo Doubs is going to be a guy that has to come out and take care of business. But what do you think about the side and the total here, Spread?
Yeah, interesting spot here, Holden, because I remember how much your broadcasting career turned around after you did peyote in the desert with the blue-haired witch. So I don't see why we shouldn't expect the same from Aaron Rodgers.
You weren't supposed to tell anyone about that, dude. That's a secret.
But I kind of disagree with you here on the Devontae Adams deal. I think people are overrating it. People are saying big changes to this Packers team. They lost one player. And in fact, they get their all-pro cornerback, Jair Alexander, back, and Bakhtiari missed a lot of time last year, who's one of the best left tackles in the league. So they get two of these premier position players back. I like Green Bay here. And I think that Minnesota is another situation where I love what Travis and all his friends and the industry that's really taking over here. Daily Fantasy has kind of done to NFL handicapping because everything is so offense oriented. And I think one of the mistakes that's being made with this team is, will the offense of the Minnesota Vikings be better? Yes, I think it will. I don't think that anyone would say that Mike Zimmer's game plans had anything to do with anything resembling football after 2010. But you're still losing one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. And I think that just like when Vic Fangio left the Bears, they went from an elite defense to an above average defense with essentially the same roster. Coaching matters, scheme matters, giving quarterbacks different looks matters. I think this Vikings defense, which has nowhere near the talent of the Bears or the Packers on defense, is going to take a hit without those great game plans coming in. So while I do expect the Minnesota offense to be a lot better, I don't know how many wins that's going to translate into. And the other thing is we're forcing Aaron Rodgers to trust people now, right? Because without Devontae Adams there, it's like you took away a security blanket. He's going to have to be brave, right? He's going to have to go to sleep with the lights off, right? He doesn't have, he's not going to have his nightlight there. He's not going to just have his old comforting thing there. This is what I think, bringing him out of his comfort zone is going to make him a better player. Also, it's going to lead into the way that this Packers team should be built to begin with. And of course, this game isn't a dome, but if you think about the way the Packers should be built, shouldn't they be a run-based team playing in Green Bay? These playoff games, if they're at home, they're going to be in really cold weather.
Spread, I've said
we
this
don't
a
need
lot.
to run a West Coast offense.
This team's going to win with rushing defense and a really efficient quarterback.
Yeah, and I know they lost Devontae Adams, but their win total went down 2.5 games off one player. Is Jerry Rice even worth 2.5 games? I don't know. I like the Packers here. Give me another road favorite.
And go and give me the DFS breakdown here. Do you want anything on the Packers side? A split backfield. And then you got Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, maybe Kirk Cousins. I'm a little bit hesitant to attack this Green Bay defense, but boy, the skill position players on the Minnesota side of the ball. And don't forget about Adam Thielen either. I mean, that guy before the injury last year was spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, can we talk about Adam Thielen's price? 5,400. Like it's really good. That's the point I'm making with some of these like 4K receivers that people are trying to go to. Like some people might be like, oh man, George Pickens at 4-1, like this rookie, we can play Adam Thielen at 5-4. Like, I mean, there's a lot of good guys in this 5K range and even like lower 6K range. So wide receiver has some good options. Obviously like Thielen. Jefferson, I think he's going to be a great play. The only concern with Jefferson is matchup is a little difficult, right? But one thing to note, the Rams offensive coordinator, he moved over to Minnesota and he knew how to get Cooper Kupp open all the time, right? We saw him having a terrific season. I expect big things for Justin Jefferson. Don't know if it's for sure going to be this game, but he's in play. I want to see what his ownership is going to be. Very curious to see how that shakes out. One running back that I'm pretty high on this season, pretty high on Aaron Jones at 6.7K. Understand that I think Aaron Jones' median projection is not really the thing that I'd be looking at as much in tournaments. I'd be looking more at his ceiling projection. Reason why I like his ceiling projection a lot is the upside that Aaron Jones has is insane. Because he's going to be involved in the pass game, I think, as well in that slot. He's going to get peppered with a ton of PPR opportunities. He's the type of guy that he could break a slate with 13 carries. I mean, he doesn't need that many carries to get the job done. And he's such an explosive player where he can rip one for like 30 yards, or not 30 yards, like 80 yards. So I think overall, Aaron Jones is not someone that I would, be sleeping on. I think he'd have a massive, massive day for the Packers when they have these really good game scripts. Also, one thing I wanted to mention, I believe my friend said it the other day. Yeah, he when they played the Lions, right, in week 2, Aaron Jones is 41.5 DK points. I mean, that's an insane number. And that was with Devontae Adams there. So I don't want to hear all this crap that like Aaron Jones has no ceiling with no Devontae Adams there and the whole AJ Dillon running the ball too, and they're going to cut into each other. This dude is going to eat in the passing game more than I think people realize. He's got to stay healthy, obviously. Also, if AJ Dillon ever gets hurt, it's just Aaron Jones' season. Same for AJ Dillon. I mean, then he'll be just even more involved in the pass game as well. So, and especially early on when these rookies are starting to try to learn the system a little bit. So like this spot a lot for Aaron Jones. Think he's a great tournament play in this range. Someone that I'm definitely looking to go to for sure. And then I think one last guy I want to talk about, probably like some of these Packers, if you don't have Allen Lazard there, I think if you want to full on punt the 3K, like I'd rather do that than some of the 4K guys and go with Romeo Doubs. He's just a guy that I think is super talented that I'm buying in on. I want to make sure he's definitely going to be in there as the starter. I believe he will be if Lazard is out, but I think he's certainly in play. And one last guy we didn't talk about that we should discuss, Dalvin Cook, right? Dalvin Cook, if they are leading, let's say the Packers are up, and I know Mike Zimmer is not the coach anymore, but if they are leading, they are going to lean on the run slightly more. It's just a simple fact. So if you think that could be possibly the game script that it goes with, then I think it's not a bad route. And also, Kirk Cousins, if you do play him, you likely want to have it in more of a game stack, because if he is the highest scoring guy on the slate, he throws for 300 plus yards, he gets 2-3 touchdowns, you likely want to have it with at least one of those receivers, if not maybe 2, and then include that run back. So don't like totally sleep on that as an option, because I think it's really in play. And I think a lot of people are gravitating towards more of the Chargers game. They're gravitating towards the Raiders. They're also going to the Chiefs game and the Cardinals. And this is a 4:00 game that is a very, very good game that could come in with a lot less ownership than you might see. So something to think about too. Let's say you decide to play Jonathan Taylor early, and Jonathan Taylor gets you 12 DK points, and it's just not working out for you. Well, you've spent a lot of salary on that. And you know what? You need other guys that are expensive to bust to help catch you up. You need Travis Kelce to end up going for maybe 8 DK points, because there's not a lot of Travis Kelce and Jonathan Taylor teams. So what do? You pivot off that popular game. You say, I understand that I took a chance early and it didn't work out, and I have to make this pivot to maybe make that min cash happen. Let's say one of your players at the first start of the game, he tears his ACL. I don't know who it is, not going to say who it is, but happens all the time where guys get injured. You need to find ways to fight back and kind of just get those min cashes, and those can matter long-term as the season goes on. So it's just something to think about, because I think this 4:00 window has a really, really nice set of games.
Yep. Maybe I'm going to play all 3 slates then. I'm going to play the early slate, the full slate, and the afternoon slate. And I think that afternoon slate is going to be really interesting with the firepower they have there. Hit the like button. Let me remind you, coming up next, it is the Showdown Show, Thursday Showdown. We're going to do it for free this week. Tony will be doing that, best Showdown player in the world, despite the fact that his marriage takes are probably worse than anything else I've ever heard in the history of the world. And then we got this Showdown thing that we got going on. So that'll be next. Mangone with the Thursday night game. Just some quick Showdown thoughts from you. We'll get spreads taken. We'll get the hell out of here.
Yeah, quick Showdown thoughts. Good.
Bills Rams. What are we doing with Josh Allen here? Player prop, by the way, 1.5 touchdowns. Overs -165. I don't like the juice there, but boy, I'm looking forward to seeing what Tony has a captain, because do you go the quarterback route, or can we find some sexy plays elsewhere like a Steph Diggs? But what do you think? There's
definitely some sexy plays. I do have a tweet that I'm going to send out tomorrow about it, so stay tuned. That's going to talk a lot about like Showdown and just the captain stuff. So, that's free. So check that out when I have that tweet sent out tomorrow morning. But the kind of the captain ownership, I see Cooper Kupp, I see Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. I see them as the most popular captain option. So not saying you can't play them. They're good, but obviously a lot of people are going to be on them. Guys that I think are really interesting at lesser ownership, Matthew Stafford. Love obviously putting him, you can pair him up with Cooper Kupp in the flex. And I think it's a really good route that you can go with. Also, the game script fits in that favor. Even though the Rams are at home, they're underdogs, which sounds crazy to me, but Matthew Stafford, pretty good spot for him. So do not ignore him. Think he's a good Showdown captain. And then if you're looking for the like Bills guy to maybe like leverage off Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. I've been a Gabe Davis truther for a very long time. I think it's a spot where he can have a massive, massive game. So Gabe Davis, really good captain option that I'm going to get some exposure to.
All right, spread. this line with the Bills and the Rams. Off season, we saw the Rams -2.5. This thing flipped on its head. It was Bills -2.5, and now it's sitting at the Bills, a 2-point favorite. Juiced -110 both sides. 51.5 is the total here spread. This line is just baffling. I don't understand the back and forth here, but talk to me. What do you got with Buffalo and LA?
I mean, you hit my segue for me perfectly. I saw 2.5 offshore. It's a 5-point move. Let's see, the most efficient in the market in the world, the very best lines makers in the world, where the casinos and the sports books puts most of their research dollars into, they missed this line by 5 points. That's what we think. I don't think so. I talked about how every podcast had to have a Kyler Murray slander episode over this offseason. They also had to have a Bills slurp fest over the offseason too, right? Everybody loves the Bills. And there's a good reason. When we did our NFL preview, I was getting ready to be contrarian, and I started looking for reasons to go against this team. And I'll admit, it was tough, and I couldn't come up with any, and I kind of had to abandon the project. This is a well-built team. It has an MVP candidate quarterback, one of the best receivers in the league. I love the running back that they added, James Cook, although for DFS, I don't think he's going to be involved this week. I do think for season longs, he was a great pickup, though, because I think he's going to take over that job week 6 or week 7. I think he's going to be by far the most dynamic runner in the backfield. Sean McDermott is an excellent coach with excellent defensive schemes, continuity. Yes, they lost Brian Dable. They bring in Joe Brady. I don't even know how much of that drop-off is. Dable might have been better at development than actually game planning. And I'm not taking any way credit for Brian Dable for how well Josh Allen's been developed. But I think that just for play calling with the guy that's already established, Joe Brady's going to be just as good. But I'm going back to my original point. The lines makers weren't 5 points off. They weren't 5 points off. The thing is, we all heard, because everyone has to make a Super Bowl pick, right? I had to do it yesterday on our show with Tyler, right? And did I even want to? Not really. I mean, I think it's really tough to call, right? I think it's way better to try and make those bets in November and December, because you're going to get around the same amount of money with so much more information. And you have less minefields to go through, because we know injuries have a lot to do with who wins.
Remember, Tre'Davious is out too. Best corner in the league is not playing in this game.
Yeah. So I'm on the Los Angeles Rams, man. They won the Super Bowl for a reason. And I think that because of and it's righteous love. I mean, the Bills are getting love, and it's for a reason, and it's justified. But now you're expecting them to go on the road against the Super Bowl champs. And this idea that the Rams are going to have some sort of hangover, I don't believe it. I don't buy it. I think they're going to be ready to go. And if you don't think they're not aware of this 5-point line move and everybody picking against them, I would say you're crazy. I think it gives them a little more. And I almost worry about that on the Bills side, just being told how great they are all summer, and everyone's just riding them into the Super Bowl. So I still think the Bills are going to have a great season. They probably do have the best chance to come out of an absolutely loaded AFC. But for this game, give me the Los Angeles Rams and the points for a half unit, and give me the money line for a half unit, because I think they win straight up.
Is that your best bet for the show, Rams?
Sure.
Okay.
I like a lot of them. I like the Raiders plus 3.5 as well.
Mangone, my best DFS or bet is going to be the Damian Pierce over 45.5 rushing yards, -115. Although I don't think he's a great DFS play. I just think he's going to get volume and might be tough for him to get in the end zone. What's your favorite play here, DFS?
For this game or the whole slate?
The whole slate, buddy. We've talked about a lot of players today.
We have.
Why don't you think about it for a second? I'll give our spiel, and then we'll get your thoughts and get out.
I have a lot of options, but
I know you do. Go marinate on it for a second.
Okay.
NFL 15% off the life of your subscription. Best value in all of DFS and betting. NFL 15. This is not a promo that's going to last a long time. We're going to give you a free showdown show for Thursday Night Football coming up next. If you're watching this live, Tony and the boys will break down Showdown. The Wishbone pod's getting taped tonight. The old guys, Tony told me it's going to be Uncle T, JT Hayes, and I can invite another elderly. And at some point in time, you're old enough, Spread, where you can hop on the pod. You got to be at least 40, though. You got to be 40. You got to be 40. Your balls got to be sagging. Just horrible things are happening to us.
I've been eligible for a while. Holden.
Yeah, you have. NFL 15. All right, Mangone, what's the play?
All right. So just so you know, before I give out the play, another thing to segue and talk about, I'm gonna have I'm gonna have like a sheet for myself that'll be on the bet side. It'll be in the main bet sheet. We're going to have like a little link that you can click on. That'll be all the bets that I've placed and kind of like what their numbers best up to that I would bet. I'm going to obviously put the number that I've locked in at, but like obviously props can move. I haven't had that up yet, but it'll be up by hopefully Friday or Saturday at the latest. But one of them I bet, we're going to go with Adam Thielen over on 4.5 receptions. So I think it's a pretty good spot for him. I expect the Vikings to be kind of trailing a bit more in this game. I think that number is tough. I'm not saying I want to bet the Packers, the -1.5 or anything like that, but I do think this game is going to be a really interesting one. I think the Packers are going to gain a lot of control and they're going to, force the Vikings to throw a bunch. And if that's the case, I do think Adam Thielen is going to be in a good spot for that. And let's say the Vikings are winning with, Dalvin Cook. They typically like to kind of do a little more possession, just kind of moving the chains real slow. Adam Thielen is a good possession receiver and part of that. So I think there's a lot of good opportunity for him. So I got the over on his receptions at 4.5.
I'm going to go dig into that and likely tail. Good stuff, Mangone. For Mangone and Spread and our boy Simon behind the scenes, don't forget, we've got NFL 15, the promo code, Showdown Show coming up next. And look out tomorrow morning for the Wishbone, the Old Guys pod. We're going to take a quick look, or a long look, I should say, and probably talk about being old and how much it sucks. All right, everybody, have a great one. Thanks for running pure with us. And again, get bets if you're a subscriber to add the bet side. So much good stuff going on the bet side. JJ and I with the prop show tomorrow night. Simon, get us out of here.